Who is Gideon Moi? Who really is Gideon Moi? Now, that is a question that is going to be at the top of the mind of Kenyans. Yeah, if our analysis is correct, and if we are to believe, the shifts and changes and utterances on the Kenyan political scene, which seem to suggest that Gideon Moi will in fact be Raila Odinga's running mate in 2022 for the presidency of the country. Now, it is very difficult to link Gideon Moi to any scandal, or any corruption deal, From 2003, when his father had already left power, the previous year, 2002, to the current time, to now. In any case, it has become clear that the handshake has insulated a small group of people from any prosecution, on corruption charges. And Gideon Moi is obviously one of those people. The others, just as a matter of interest, are Ali Hassan Joho, the governor of Mombasa, Raila Odinga, and one James Orengo. Of course, the president and his deputy are immune from any prosecution while they're in office. Many Kenyans probably don't know that, especially where the issue of Ruto is concerned, because I've read comments that Ruto should be arrested over certain corruption charges. Well, that ticket, while they're in power, can only be impeached. They cannot actually be charged with an offense in a court of law, legally that is. Anyway, my point is, even if Gideon Moi was not in that list, it would still be virtually impossible to find anything that you could pin on him and would stand in a court of law for successful prosecution. Now, I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying Gideon Moi is clean as from 2003 to the present. No way. What I am saying is, where's the evidence? Because last time I checked, to prosecute anybody successfully in a court of law, you need something called solid evidence. And so, as far as Gideon Moi is concerned, that is absent. Okay? But even more important, is the perception of the public. The public do not view Gideon Moi as a corrupt individual. However, as a voter, you need to ask yourself questions about any candidate that presents themselves before an election. And I believe at least some Kenyans, because I have no idea how many Kenyans have learned this lesson, but at least some Kenyans have learned some very hard lessons since the last general elections in 2017. Hopefully, they have learned that somebody's tribe is irrelevant, and that in fact the political class use tribe by putting voters in clusters and groups of tribes for their own selfish gain in order to win elections. And in the past, this tribe thing has neatly masked somebody's true character, somebody's corrupt past, etc., etc. Issues which are critical to the voter when they need to make a decision whether or not to vote for the particular individual. The truth is, Gideon Moi has re-engineered himself completely, so that today is a very respectable politician. And so, for us to know anything about the real character of one Gideon Moi, what we must do is to dig very deep into his past. That is the only thing that can give us a glimpse into what kind of person he is. And let's do that right away. And let's start from the time when Gideon's father, former President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, was still in power. And shortly after his father left the presidency of Kenya. This should be very revealing, especially to younger Kenyans. And so, without wasting any more time, let's get started. There is an Asian man known to some on this channel called Mukesh Gohil. Now it's widely believed that Mukesh Gohil is the guy who carried Gideon Moi's money bag. He was the details man. Yeah, he knew which account has which money, which account is being transferred to which account, etc., etc. How do we know this? We know this from something called the Kroll Report. What is the Kroll Report? The Kroll Report is a report which was commissioned by the government of the Republic of Kenya immediately Moi Kibaki came into power. Moi Kibaki had an excellent idea. I mean, this Kenyan started with very good grand ideas to improve the lives of Kenyans. He had been there during the Kenyatta administration. He had been there during the Moi administration. He knew the government inside out. He knew exactly what to do to correct things and to change Kenya forever. And I strongly believe those were his intentions. You know, as I say in my book, Dark Secrets of the Kenyan Presidency, when people enter that place called State House, I don't know what happens to them. Name any Kenyan president, and I'll convince you how they entered State House with very big ideas for the improvement of Kenyans, the ordinary Kenyan. What happens to them? Anyway, so Kibaki commissioned the Kroll Report. The whole idea was to get information on where corruption money has been stashed, and then prosecute those people, freeze those accounts, etc., etc. Return the money belonging to the Kenyan people to the Kenyan people. But today, confront the people at State House, confront people in government, and ask about the Kroll Report. The response you'll receive, yo nini? Loosely translated, what the four-letter word is that? And yet these people know very well what the Kroll Report is. Anyway, this information is from the Kroll Report. Researched, investigated, so it's credible. Now this moneybags guy, Mukesh Gohil, keeping track of Gideon Moi's money, just gives you a picture of the kind of cash this guy was handling. The kind of cash that would make you very dizzy. Forget this thing of 1 million here, a kamili here, a kamili or two here, nothing like that. We are talking about billions, hundreds of billions. What? Now, I'm not a guy with connections, but by a stroke of fate, I know some people who are close to Gideon Moi. You know, whether you believe there's a God or not, God just prepares people, I'm telling you. He just gives you information which you think is useless, and then one day in the future he knows this guy is going to start a channel, and I want to achieve 1, 2, 3 using this guy. That time, Chris kumekucha mezubatu doesn't know what's going on. Anyway, I was very reliably informed that there was a time Gideon Moi boasted that he's not going to touch any business deal that is below $1 million. Now let me just remind you, $1 million is 100 million Kenya shillings. The kind of money that my best loyal, most trusted fans of this channel will be given today, and then when somebody asks them tomorrow, do you know a guy called Chris Kumekucha? Huyo nani? I'm telling you, human nature is hilarious. Anyway, Gideon said he'll not handle any business below $1 million. Now in early 2004, something very interesting happened that contradicted this statement. His dad, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, had already left power. And the man sitting in State House at that time, if I may just remind you quickly, was Emilio Stanley Moi Kibaki. So Gideon had this lawyer, who was also a very close friend. His name is Dr. Kenneth Kiplagat. Now Gideon was selling off some property in South Africa, and because of that, of course, he had this lawyer organize the transaction. And there was a situation where now Dr. Kenneth Kiplagat had $650,000 in his account, Gideon Moi's money. Now Gideon owed his lawyer 1.5 million. Okay, various jobs he had done for him. And by the way, the reputation this man had was that he never used to like paying bills. So what Kenneth decided, he took that money, wrote a letter to his client and told him, look, you owe me 1.5 M, yeah, I've offset with this 650,000 that I was supposed to hand over to you. Kindly make arrangements to pay the balance. Gideon Moi went berserk. The guy flew into the kind of rage that if he had gotten hold of this lawyer of his, he'd have just strangled him with his bare hands. And the lawyer was smart. Yeah, he made sure that the man did not meet him. Yeah, and when they spoke on phone, the doctor was just very consistent. Just pay me my money, Bwana Gideon Moi. Just pay me. So one day, a close associate of Gideon Moi was passing in Westlands near a hotel that at that time was called Fairview Hotel. He spotted Kenneth Kiplagat's car, Dr. Kiplagat's car. He called Gideon, and Gideon was there within minutes. So Gideon rushes into this place, finds Bwana Kiplagat with friends seated on a table, and starts talking about his money, how he wants his 650K US dollars. So Dr. Kiplagat starts summaring Gideon Moi, and loosely translated lecturing. Now the gist of that lecture was, Gideon, your father is no longer president of this country. Wake up, smell the coffee. Just pay me my money. Eh? What is all the drama for? You owe me the money. Pay me. Now what happened next was that there was a scuffle. Punches started flying through the air. Okay? Now apparently this Kiplagat must be quite a boxer, because what happened is that Gideon Moi ended on his back on a flower bed somewhere. Probably having received the kind of punch you see in movies. Now Gideon Moi's security detail rushed, retrieved their boss, and rushed him to his car. Meanwhile, Dr. decided he had had enough embarrassment, and he walked out of the place. Of course, a waiter rushed very quickly, following him, because he had a bill of Kenya shillings 1,200, which he had not paid what they had spent on the table. So the good doctor paid the bill with his car door open. And that was it. Now, of course, since then, Bwana Gideon Moi has reinvented himself into a very respectable senator, second-term senator, very respectable politician. I just thought I should remind you. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.